"We got Hail Columbia for that," says my mother. "But what did we know?" My mother's family lived in a large white house near an apple orchard in Nova Scotia. There was a barn and a carriage house. In the kitchen there was a pantry. My mother can remember the days before commercial bakeries, when flour came in barrels and all the bread was made at home. She can remember the first radio broadcast she ever heard, which was a singing commercial about socks. In this house there were many rooms. Although I have been there, although I have seen the house with my own eyes, I still don't know how many. Parts of it were closed off, or so it seemed. There were back staircases. Passages led elsewhere. 5 children lived in it, 2 parents, a hired man, and a hired girl, whose names and faces kept changing. The structure of the house was hierarchical, with my grandfather at the top, but its secret life, the life of pie crusts, clean sheets, the box of rags in the linen closet, the loaves in the oven, was female. The house and all the objects in it crackled with static electricity. Undertows washed through it. The air was heavy with things that were known but not spoken. Like a hollow log, a drum, a church, it amplified, so that conversations whispered in it 60 years ago can be half heard even today. In this house, you had to stay at the table until you had eaten everything on your plate. "Think of the starving Armenians," Mother used to say, says my mother. I didn't see how eating my bread crusts was going to help them out one jot. It was in this house that I first saw a stalk of oats in a vase, each oat wrapped in the precious silver paper which had been carefully saved from a chocolate box. I thought it was the most wonderful thing I had ever seen, and began saving silver paper myself. But I never got around to wrapping the oats, and in any case I didn't know how. Like many other art forms of vanished civilizations, the techniques for this one have been lost and cannot quite be duplicated. "We had oranges at Christmas," says my mother. "They came all the way from Florida. They were very expensive. That was the big treat, to find an orange in the toe of your stocking. It's funny to remember how good they tasted now." When she was 16, my mother had hair so long she could sit on it. Women were bobbing their hair by then. It was getting on to be the 20s. My mother's hair was giving her headaches, she says, but my grandfather, who was very strict, forbade her to cut it. She waited until one Saturday when she knew he had an appointment with the dentist. In those days there was no freezing, says my mother. The drill was worked with a foot pedal, and it went grind, grind, grind. The dentist himself had brown teeth. He chewed tobacco, and he would spit the tobacco juice into a spittoon while he was working on your teeth. Here, my mother, who is a good mimic, imitates the sounds of the drill and the tobacco juice. It was always sheer agony. It was a heaven-sent salvation when gas came in. My mother went into the dentist's office, where my grandfather was sitting in the chair, white with pain. She asked him if she could have her hair cut. He said she could do anything in tarnation as long as she would get out of there and stop pestering him. "So I went out straight away and had it all chopped off," says my mother jauntily. He was furious afterwards, but what could he do? He'd given his word. My own hair reposes in a cardboard box in a steamer trunk in my mother's cellar, where I picture it becoming duller and more brittle with each passing year, and possibly moth-eaten. By now it will look like the faded wreaths of hair in Victorian funeral jewelry. Or it may have developed a dry mildew. Inside its tissue paper wrappings it glows faintly in the darkness of the trunk. I suspect my mother has forgotten it's in there. It was cut off, much to my relief, when I was 12 and my sister was born. Before that it was in long curls. Otherwise, says my mother, it would have been just one big snarl. My mother combed it by winding it around her index finger every morning, but when she was in the hospital my father couldn't cope. He couldn't get it around his stubby fingers, says my mother. My father looks down at his fingers. They are indeed broad compared with my mother's long, elegant ones, which she calls bony. He smiles, a pussycat smile. So it was that my hair was sheared off.